in Kansas City. And then we came back here. I went into business with my uncle uh, in the coal business, COAL. And well, I don't have to say that here, but you'd be surprised.
I'm sure.
I have to explain it to people what the coal business is. But anyway, but we wanted to buy an old house because there were great old houses out here, and in Kansas City they don't have that, so that's what we wanted. So we found a stone house. It was built in 1798, all stone, German, and the guy wouldn't sell it without the acreage, which was 65 acres. And we had no idea what we were going to do with that. So Sukie bought 14 ewes, that's females.
Okay.
So there's a ram and a ewe.
Okay.
And the way you know the difference is, did you ever hear about the ram that fell off a cliff trying to make a U-turn? Huh?
Well done. Well done.
Anyway, so she bought those as a 4-H project for the kids. And we had 3 kids. And that was that.
Yeah.
That's how we started. We didn't know.
That's
anything
how we
about
started.
I love it. So you guys are going to hang out with us, but if you're listening on Q92.9 right now, well, you are if you're hearing this, but we're going over on Facebook Live on the Yajagoff Facebook page because there's so much to talk about, but they will be back with us at the next break. This is John and Rachel Yajagoff on Q, hanging out with Western Pennsylvania royalty from Jameson Farms, the famous lambs.
Thank you.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you. So we'll go into
Hi, everybody.
hey, we're on Facebook Live. So we're gonna talk a little bit more.
Oh, you
You're
can
good.
take that
No,
off.
you're
You
good. You're
take that
good.
off? Okay.
We'll go more into how the meat of it. I mean, is there a particular story you want to tell about? Do you want to tell one of the chef stories, or what was it like being world renowned? Where was your first trip once you realized that this was something you would do?
I think the story about surf and turf in Pittsburgh.
That's a pretty Pittsburgh one.
Okay,
You
what's
will.
that?
So when we first started selling in the mid '80s, we had a little mail order business, and then I was asked, "How much time do we have to talk?"
We have like 10 minutes to talk
Okay.
before we talk on the radio.
Let me explain. So what? Then you can tell me whether I should tell this or not. So anyway, Byron Barty. Do you know who he is?
Mhm.
The famous chef.
Yep.
And he was the only one of 15 or something certified master chefs with the American Chefs Federation. He also was research and development for Heinz. And I called him up because I wanted, this was 87. 88. I wanted to get out of the lamb business because we weren't making any money. I couldn't support the kids.
Really? It was a mail order business where people buy at Christmas and Easter. So when you
Oh,
the
wow,
rest of the
okay.
year-
And
Oh,
they
okay.
wouldn't buy, and
So-
around here they wouldn't buy at Easter. And so anyway, Barty, we go to lunch at the Carlton, and he says, "Your future is in selling to restaurants." And I said, "You're full of crap." And he said, no. He said, "I'm having this dinner for Children's Hospital at Lamont, and in October, a fundraiser for Children's Hospital. We're having the 7 best chefs in the country to this dinner. And there, I'm telling you, those are the guys you need." And so he gave me the list of the people. This is in May of '88. He gave me the list. He said, "Send them information about your lamb." And I got orders from 3 of them. Paul Prudhomme, K. Paul's.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In New Orleans. I got it from Wolf.
Wolfgang Puck, yeah.
Spago.
Right.
And a guy named Jean Bachet, who's no longer alive, but he had a great restaurant in Wheeling, Illinois. And the other chefs were Ferdinand Metz, who was from Pittsburgh and worked in Heinz, and then was the president of the Culinary Institute of America, and Larry Forgione, and who else? Jean-Louis Paladin, who was, I told you about, was
Right.
he was the only 2-star Michelin chef in the country at the time, period.
Wow.
And then they were going to use Wolf for the, I'm jumping ahead of the story, but they were going to use Wolf for the meat course. But his wife was pregnant with their first child, and so they got a then 30-year-old kid from New York who had a restaurant at the Lafayette, or the Drake Hotel called Lafayette. And that was Jean-Georges Van Gerichten, and he's got his restaurant, Jean-Georges, is in the Trump Tower.
Oh.
And then he has about 10 others. I mean, he's huge. And so, anyway,
Wow.
so so he tells me about these guys, and I said, well, that sounds great. But I said, so I'm mixing up 2 stories, but maybe for this it would work. So I said, in Pittsburgh, I go in to sell lamb, and they say, get out, it's too expensive, I ain't paying that. Who you think it is? Dog. And so it's not gonna work. I said, it's not gonna work. And so I tell this story when I have guys at the, do these dinners at the farm. And I said, you have to understand that in '85, surf and turf in Pittsburgh was carp and kielbasa.
That is so true. Yeah.
And they'd say, and then these people say, oh, no. And I say, oh, yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
I said, as long as red sauce or pierogies, one or the other, right,
Yes.
you're okay.
Yes.
But forget it. And then of course they all say, well, it's so much better now. I said, it's better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still not. What was I gonna do? I had a special product,
Yes.
and so
You were years ahead of your time.
Oh yeah.
We
Wow.
always say that.
And you didn't know it, right?
No.
We didn't know. We had
Right.
no idea. And it was there. So when I take the lamb down to Jean-Louis the first time, he took it, and well, it's a long story. But anyway, he started crying. You're just so beautiful. I have not seen a lamb like this since I am in France. I get off the plane and the lamb, it is shit.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he was the most important French chef. So all the younger French chefs, well, they were all younger because he died young, and he told people, they would call him and say, "Who do we buy this from? Who do we buy that from?"
And that's the
He said, "You
the
buy it
rest.
from John and Sukie."
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. And so
That's-
it really did start as a mail order. That was
Yeah.
it. You
That
just
was it.
how many lambs did you start with? Did you have like 2 and then all of a sudden it went from that to
Yeah, we
We were
well,
at
we
200.
built the flock,
sure.
and then we bought a different farm in 1985. We went there in 1975 and learned all about what we were trying to do, and
So you learned for 10 years before.
Yeah, before it was
Okay.
really a business. And
So-
then
we,
No,
didn't,
I'm sorry.
we didn't know anything. We didn't
we
come
didn't know
from farming.
which
Right.
we didn't
And
know
it's-
which end of the animal to feed.
Yeah.
So what did the chef see that was different than other lambs?
So this
Was it
is
fat
all.
content or?
This is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
What they said was, so Jean-Louis, his favorite lamb in France was one called Sisteron, Sisteron, and the elevation of Sisteron is 1,400 feet more or less, and ours is 1,250. And he thought that the taste was very much the same because the elevation, they were eating the same things. But more importantly, it's the fact that in 1900, the largest merino, sheep merino,
Mhm.
that wool, the finest wool, the biggest merino flocks in the country were in southwest Pennsylvania, meaning Greene County, Washington,
When
Allegheny,
people needed wool
Armstrong.
back
Yeah.
Because the grass
Wow.
is so good, and it always rains at about, well, this year is a little off.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still, and so I tell this to people, and I'd say, when we did the thing at Phipps, I said, well, it's a grass, and it is a grass. It's all about the grass. This is the best. This is Hal Klein wrote an article about me, about us, and I said, this is the Napa Valley of lamb, and he loved it, and
Sure.
and I use it.
Great
all the
guy,
time.
right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the grass, and it's better for you can grow ruminants, fatten, which is what a lamb is, or cattle. You can fatten them on grass here, and it's very hard to do it. Well, it's not necessarily very hard to do it, but it's easier to do it here than anywhere else. And when guys say, "Oh, I didn't know," man, I knew. So we were at Phipps in April, and I said, okay, you guys cut any grass yet? Oh, I'm behind. I said, yeah, that's your answer.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to show you a sketch or something.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
We got a lot of grass here.
Yeah.
It grows like crazy.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Glad I don't have to cut it anymore. So, guys, it's John and Sukie Jameson, the Jameson Lamb Farm.
Is it Jamison or Jameson?
I said
Jamison.
Jameson earlier, but I noticed you said
It's
Jameson.
Jamison,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Jameson.
Pass the
My
jam,
mother
please.
said, pass the jam.
Ah.
Okay.
And Sukie, what is that? That is a unique name.
Nickname.
Oh.
Okay.
Suzanne.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
My
no,
mother's
like,
name was Suzanne.
Okay.
That's what they called me
okay.
since I was
So
very
no
little.
cultural,
No.
But they have a book out,
And you
and
need to
we're going to
get
be
it.
talking about it on the radio here. But the book is called, yeah, you talk about it, I'll show it.
Oh wow. So they actually wrote this book and through the pandemic, right? And they were actually offering one up for you. You just have to
Yes.
say, I want the book Yajagoff, because there are some really unique stories in there. Recipes that Sukie has you were in charge of all of those, correct?
Yeah.
And stories about how this all came to be and why Western PA is on the map for the lamb farm.
Should
all
we
because
read a
of that.
passage?
I mean, there's
Page
a Jagoff
9,
term, but
page 9, it's John speaking, right?
Yes.
I let him go on. He's speaking of a French chef. Just as I was deciding whether to call him a boop or, as we say in Pittsburgh, a jagoff, whoever it was started asking about agneau de lait. Did I say the French part right?
no.
No.
He
I
butchered
screwed
it.
up, but there it is
And
right
yeah.
there. Page 9. And you guys is also, they're going to do a thing for the Community Liver Alliance.
Yes.
And that is June 28th, right?
June 24th.
24th, that's
Next
right, okay.
Saturday.
Next
Yeah.
Saturday, and you can buy tickets. It's only 50 people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
50. It'll be wonderful. We have a great time.
Nice. Nice.
Stay
Sukie
with
cooks and I talk.
That's sort of like, oh no, I talk, John eats. We don't know who does the cooking. But stay with us. Make sure you're listening to. Are you gonna turn it? Make sure you're
It's-
listening to Q92.9 because we're gonna talk more about it.
Yeah, we're on in 2 minutes. This is kind of what happens behind the scenes. We talk to our guests. We give
This
them
is
water
great.
in these very expensive Steel City medium mugs.
I would say.
Yeah, and we normally don't have anybody drive 2.5 hours to get to us, but tonight we did.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I think you just need to listen to the radio if you really want to hear the good stories.
All right.
Check it out, but make sure you say, I want the book Yajagoff in order to get the book.
And
And
we
not my
will put
signed
the
copy.
link to the event in the comments here below.
Yes.
So you can buy a ticket.
Well, I think Sukie will sign the book to
Oh,
Jack.
great.
I want